Hello everyone and welcome to today's interview about a question I often get is how hard is it to study at BBE? And we have Smith with us. Could you please briefly introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Smith. I'm 21 years old and I'm currently finishing my 5th semester of BBE, and I've been accepted to the SIMC Masters, so we'll be done with BBE soon. Yeah.
And when he got accepted to SIMC, the first message I got is that his master's is better than mine.
It's true.
It's true.
It's true.
It's true. It's true.
It's true. Yeah.
Because I'm doing digital economy and I'm almost done with it. So, yeah, and I'm really glad. And SIMC, just for reference, it's a very highly rated master's in management. So it's short for Strategy, Innovation, Management, Control Masters at WU, and it's like SEMS. So the Management Master and SIMC are the two best masters pretty much here. So he got into SIMC. And I was very happy for him. And in this interview, since you're almost done with BBE, can you tell us how it all started, how it went, how it's going, all the tenses in English?
All the tenses. So it started in the very beginning where I was trying to look for bachelor's programs in Europe, and I found this one program in Austria that's fully in English, BBE, and I checked the website, and it turns out that there were so many topics that I didn't know what they were. Like, I think 80% of them I had no clue what they were. So, I started doing my research, and then I eventually came across Maria. And Maria responded really quickly, which I was very surprised. And yeah, that's
how we met, actually. We met years ago. We've been friends since
2022.
2022.
Yeah.
Now it's almost 2026. So yeah, we've come a long way. And I've seen all of the personal development that you went through as well.
Yeah.
And then when you were applying, because you're an international student, you came from a long way here. How was the switch? Was it different from school? Was it different from here? Was it hard to adapt to the new study culture, so to say?
It was 100% super different, because maybe it was the transition between high school straight to uni, but high school in my country is super different. I feel like one of the things that I can mention is I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but I did not study in high school, but I was still able to get good grades. But when it comes time to the first semester of BBE, I was humbled immediately. And so I would say it is more intensive here when you talk about purely academics. Social life as well, it was very different, because I knew the people that I knew from my high school since I was really young. And here you have to actually get to know people from the beginning and stuff. But I knew you from the beginning, so yeah.
We met during your admissions and also in the group chat.
No, I was very privileged enough to have Maria tag along with me for my admissions.
Yeah. And we had the group chat with guys. Basically, in your year, when you got accepted, there was a wonderful group chat, and there was 5 very active guys joking around, making jokes about sleeping in tents on campus because they couldn't find a dorm and everything. So I think also from there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think one of the things that helped, because I wasn't able to be here for the welcome days, so because I couldn't get a visa on time, and I think the group chats and stuff, it was not the same as actually getting to know them in person, but it was the next best alternative to knowing people before you move to a completely new continent and country.
Yeah. So yeah, and to this day, some people from the group chat are still our mutual friends, so to say.
Oh
yeah. That's one.
They're still my closest friends.
Yeah. And then, so when you moved here, right? Let's say the first class, first lecture that you had, how was it?
I think it was chill. If I remember correctly, the first lecture I had was Business and Society. And I already knew, I have familiar faces, from the group chat and everything. So, it was very exciting to just go up to them, talk to them, and then we enjoyed the lecture. The lecture was actually very interesting, the first one. It was my first experience being in, a massive group. Before then, I think my classroom had, 20 people. Or maybe even less. So that was cool. And I remember one of the best memory I had was I knew all the familiar faces from your course and in the group chats. I knew who was hardworking. So when it comes time to who, the prof was oh, like you need to like form your own groups.
Yeah.
I immediately knew who
Yeah.
I wanted to like team up with, so that helped a lot.
You know, like you do your research in the prior, like also like, you know, how to say background checks on people.
Stalk everyone.
Stalk everyone on IG. So the first semester BBE, a lot of people have the question since most people are going from high school to uni, like it's the first year of transition. Is BBE hard to study, or is it harder to get in? Like what in your like that whole period of an entrance exam, admission, studying, what was harder, getting in or studying?
Definitely getting in. I would say for most people, the math part of the entrance exam is definitely the hardest.
Yeah.
But when you get in, it's a bit more chill, and I think passing exams in BBE is almost, I think it's impossible to fail.
Yeah, like you have to really try to fail. Yeah.
You have to really try really hard to fail, unless you just don't show up to lectures. I
Yeah.
think everyone do. But to get 1, which is the best possible grade in Austria,
grade, yeah.
then you actually have to put in the time and effort.
Yeah, because usually one starts from like around 87 or 90% in most subjects. Of course, you have to look at the grading scheme, but you're getting an 87% or 90% even with the group works. If there's like, you know, multiple components to a grade, group works, homework, an exam, still pretty hard. And it's even harder if it's just 2 exams, let's say in the low courses, midterm final, that's it. So you have to really watch out for the grading scheme as well. And could you briefly tell some, you know, like description of courses that you had, like what you remember, like, you know, let's say the mathematical course, the law course, like the different types of courses that there are at BBE?
So if I remember correctly, in the first semester we had, still basically WU has like a recommended guideline of courses that we should take, and most people do follow it, and I did until the second semester, and then I started like customizing it on my own.
DIY.
But so in the first semester we would have the Steh-up stage, which consists of business and society and CCBE.
Yeah, contemporary challenges in business and economics. Yeah, full name. Yeah, I still remember.
I don't. And we also have quantitative methods 1, which is coding and maths. I think it's 60-40, but they might have changed it.
Yeah.
And then we have governance and legal environment, which is the law course that Maria was talking about earlier. And then we have a really interesting course, which is either business planning or understanding business.
Yeah.
You kind of have to pick one of the two from there. And as we move on to the second semester, we have, I would say, like more self-study intensive courses, like foundations in microeconomics, socioeconomics, quantitative methods 2. It's back, the second time. And we also have FRA, which is the accounting course. And
I think there was history of
we have law.
Oh yeah,
the second law course. So those are what I followed WU's guidelines for that. It's not super strict.
I'll double check the camera, but.
And in the third semester, which me and every single one of my friends considered the hardest semester of all of BBE, that's when we would have business analytics 1 and 2.
Yes.
I'm not even going to get into it because it's a lot.
It's code. It's a lot of coding.
And foundations in macroeconomics, which was one of my favorite courses. And then there's also history of economics and decision-making of behavior in business. But the only difference is that I didn't follow the recommended guidelines, and I'm doing history and the MBB this semester on my fifth.
Why did you decide to do that?
Because I chose to retake the first law course. I wasn't satisfied with my grade, and you know, in hindsight, it's a horrible decision to retake courses in BBE because it's a lot of work. But instead of taking these 2 courses, I retook that course, and I also started my specializations. So I just did like a little switcheroo, and you know, and then 4th semester went exactly like how they recommended.
Perfect.
And so yeah, to mention the courses in the 4th semester, I took my specialization courses, and also logic and managing organizations.
Logic.
Those are the 2 mandatory courses.
Yeah, because basically in BBE you can customize, so it's up to you, it's up to your responsibility to customize your schedule. If you want to finish in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 2.5. I think some people finished in 2.5 at some point in time. I know a few people like this. And you can retake courses, let's say if you want a higher GPA for whatever reason, going on exchange, applying to masters, you are allowed to retake a course up to 4 or 5 times. So like so once you get in, your spot is so secure that you can retake.
That's not true actually.
Really?
4 or 5 times is not true.
Yes, it is true.
If you fail,
I mean, if you fail, you can take a course 4 times at least.
yes, but if you pass, but you got a 4,
Yeah.
you only have 1 try of retaking.
Okay, yeah. But like, yeah. Okay, so, but I think you can only retake it within a year. But then, if you don't like a grade, you can do it again or no?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted to do GLE again this semester, I couldn't.
Okay, so little autocorrect here. If you fail a course, you can retake it up to 4 to 5 times, especially like if it's a low course, of course.
Yeah.
And you'll also often have retakes within the course. So let's say you have the final exam, and then if you fail and you don't match, you don't qualify for a pass grade, like it's a 4 basically, then you can retake it in a few weeks or in 1 month or so. Sometimes it's allowed, let's say in low courses. Sometimes it's not allowed anymore. Let's say in QM1 they changed it. So now there is no retake within the course. You can have to retake the whole course in case you fail it. So please check those retake opportunities and also the minimum requirements for a retake. Because let's say in my master's, we have this little trick called if you have a minimum of 15 points for the quizzes and a minimum of like 50% for the exam, only then you can retake the course. You cannot retake the final exam if you don't fulfill these minimum requirements because it just shows that you haven't studied enough at all. So pretty strict, but of course you can study a bit longer, but your spot is secure. Like you're not gonna get kicked out because of failing 1 class.
Yeah.
Or because of, let's say, having to retake it for a better grade. But if you do retake it for a better grade, just be prepared it's the same workload all over again. You don't just retake the 1 exam that you have to. You retake the whole course with all the lectures, and they also make it more difficult with time. Like they change the structure a bit, or they add new topics. Let's say in QM1 they added integrals, and it was a few years ago it wasn't a chapter that was covered. So retaking course is really like the last resort. If you don't like your grade, maybe just try to get it up with other courses instead of retaking the others. And what about the specializations? How did you apply? Were there like some selection procedures there? What was your experience of choosing them?
So it depends. I think FEU has 20 something
20, 25, yeah.
So something around their specializations, and every student has to do 2. Not at least 2 anymore, it's just 2. And there are multiple ways depending on which specializations you end up selecting. And for me, I ended up picking international marketing management as my first specialization, and the selection procedure for that was an exam.
So, and again, an entrance exam. Just when you thought you're done with the entrance exam for applying to BBE, you have another entrance exam in the specializations. Yep. How did that go?
It was easier than I expected. Maybe I overkilled it a bit, studying 3 months of my summer, more like 2.5. But I think I was very over prepared for it, and I probably would have been done in like 2 weeks. Yeah. But I was very anxious about that. Like I needed these spots because the spots for the specializations are really limited, depending on which ones. And yeah, that was the first specialization. For my second, I picked digital marketing. For this one, it was based on the questions that you have to answer in your motivational letter. And I think they check your GPA, but I don't know how much it affects like your chances of getting in. And for my third specializations, we can't do 3 specializations anymore, but when it was my turn, we could have. And it was supply chain operations and management. Yes, I feel like for this one, it's just first come, first serve. So whoever clicks the registration button the fastest, they get the spot. Yeah. I think those are like the 3 selection procedures. Yeah, I actually covered them pretty well. All 3. I did one of each. Okay. Yeah, great. I had the best pick, for this question. You're the best person to answer it. Also, if anyone interested what specializations I took back then, I took 2. I took entrepreneurship and innovation. That's pretty competitive to get in. A lot of people like it because BBE is like kind of teaches you entrepreneurship and innovation in a way, so like a lot of people are inclined to take it. And then there you would have there were 2 routes. So either you have like the top 1 or 5% of you, like you're the top 1 or 5% in your cohort based on grades, and then you get in automatically with the grade route. Or you can also have the skills route where you have 3 skills that you have to prove with anything that you have, pretty much. And then you write a little motivational statement in a way. So let's say, and the 3 skills, don't overthink them because kind of like you're fresh out of high school, you probably just had like 1 or 2 years of studies at WU, so you don't have to have an extensive CV of 10 skills that you have, but you can turn
what you seem ordinary as into extraordinary things as the skills, I would say. Because let's say even your high school grades. So one of the skills, of course, when I was applying, I put, well, one of my proofs of skills was the website for the course and the Instagram channel and the YouTube channel, because I was like, okay, I saw that I was struggling myself when preparing for the entrance exam. I assumed a lot of international students are in more or less the same situation. And I was like, okay, let me help them out. So it was kind of an entrepreneurial mindset of seeing a problem and fixing it. And that was one skill that I proved. And another skill, which is my high school grades, because I studied in 3 different schools in 2 different countries, in 2 different languages, with 2 different curriculums. And whenever I was moving, I was like thrown into like a, like this little kitten into a pond of water because like you have to get used to the school system all over again. And I was like, okay, like I'm a very adaptable person to changes, because every time I moved, I still managed to get very good grades in the end. Like, of course, not in the first semester, because the first semester I was like, okay, what's happening? But by the end of or towards after adapting like a few semesters, then I would get into top sets of mathematics, top sets of English language back in the British college that I had in Spain. And when I was back, I had to also relearn a new system, and then still after 1 semester of suffering, I still managed to get basically in my final year of school, I had all A's apart from like literature and one more subject. And as you can see, I'm not a very artistic person, I'm more of a math nerd, but still, you go to a new place, you take some time to adapt, and then you kind of rise, so to say, from the ground up. And I also put that as a description. So basically you can take such a simple thing as your high school grades. If you present it well, it counts as a skill. So I think also BBE teaches you a skill of presenting yourself by writing motivational statements, CVs, master's application.
I guess.
Come on. And that was it. And they accepted me and I finished the specialization. And also, I think what we talked also is when you know what you want to do early on, it helps a lot. Like when you apply. Like, let's say if you want to do a certain master's or a certain specialization, if you kind of set your eyes on it more or less at the beginning, it can be beneficial to you.
Yeah, definitely, of course. I think as students, like when you first, and I'm assuming like the people watching the video are people who are like really early on in their studies or haven't started yet, but as it's easier said than done, but it really helps when you know exactly what you want to go for, because that's I don't know what I want to say.
That saves you a lot of time, because let's say when I was like A9, I did an edutech course. And after doing edutech course, I got into digital economy because it matched so well. I got a recommendation letter in like 1 day for that application, and it was done, so to say. Like it helped knowing early on that I like this field.
Yeah.
So what do you think about knowing, like when you were applying to masters or picking specializations, what do you think about the approach of knowing, if you can, early on what you want to do later on?
I mean, I'm assuming that the people watching this video are either super early on in their studies or haven't started it yet. And it's really easier said than done, but it definitely helps when you know what you're interested in or what you're good at, and exactly what you want to do. It sounds really, really like counterintuitive or whatever, but because like when you know what you're going for, like if you have like certain field that you want to enter, and then you're going to select that specialization and prepare for it earlier on, or a master's. Yeah. I think that is a much better way to go than actually trying to experiment things. Obviously, you are allowed to experiment, but in terms of like when you're comparing yourself to somebody who knows exactly what they want, I feel like that's the difference maker. Yeah. Because I knew I enjoyed marketing a lot. That's why I picked them. But for supply chain, I do a little bit of experimenting. So, and supply chain is great for me as well, right? But for my master's, I decided to pick a completely different field. I don't think there's harm in it, but I think in general. Yeah,
and also for SIMC, a little reference. I also applied to SIMC, but I got it as I chose it as a second priority, and I got through all the stages, so I was able to kind of tell people about how it goes. And when you're applying to masters, basically it was a combination. SIMC was a combination of 2 of my specializations. It was a combination of E&I subjects, and the second one that I picked, strategy and managerial accounting. And the way I applied to there, it was also motivation statement based or like a CV based. And I was like, like as a self-employed, I would really like to know the basics of accounting because an accountant is expensive. That was like one of my motivational statement paragraphs. And I still ended up having an accountant still, but yeah, it was a motivation there just to know the basics myself as well. And when I look at the subjects, because preferably when you're selecting masters, you should look at the subjects and the curriculum of what they include. And I was like, okay, this seems like a repetition of my specializations. So even though I like those fields, I would like to try something new. So I picked digital economy as my first priority and I got in. And I really did learn a lot of new things.
I'm sure about that.
It was a long journey and not the easiest one because we had some very technical subjects, and if you don't have a very technical background, they were a bit challenging. Let's say we had like 10 pages of self-assessment questions that we were supposed to know even before starting the course. I was like, amazing. But yeah, also with specializations, when you pick them, you can use that experience for your master's application, because in some specializations you have group projects working with companies. So each specialization depends on the specialization. Like you can do maybe a seminar paper, some research, a group presentation, or a group project with a company. And you can use that. Let's say a group project with, we did an accounting specialization like with Nijmegen. It's like a paper production company that produced all the packaging, for like cereal boxes and everything. And you can put it on your CV because it's technically a relevant experience, because if you're applying to masters fresh out of bachelors and you don't have that much working experience yet, you can use that, so to say.
Yeah.
Or if you have a specialization where you write a seminar paper on a topic, you can take those 10 pages of a seminar paper and continue with your thesis onwards. Like you can ask the professor, hey, would you like to supervise this topic with me? I have already some research, and then it's easier for you to write the thesis.
Yeah.
And how did the specializations go? Were they difficult for you? Were they nice?
My specializations? Yeah. I think in general they're very like chill specializations. It's more focused on like actual like group projects and stuff rather than like just studying theory stuff. Actually, no, I take that back because I have 3 specializations and all 3 of them are like very different in ways you have to study for it, and pros and cons to everything. Yeah. So for IMM, it was a lot of group projects and a lot of like getting to know people, and I feel like the networking part of IMM is just amazing. Yeah. But we don't really have a lot of exams. Yeah. I mean,
that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing at all. For digital marketing, it's a lot of coding and R. But the good thing about being a BBE student is that we have coding in our studio. Yeah. And we have it very early on. In the QM courses that we mentioned earlier, the coding part of it is our studio, and that really came in handy when I was doing the digital marketing specialization, because a lot of my other colleagues who are studying WiSo, they don't have this privilege of learning R like super early on. And for supply chain, it's a lot of studying. So like the traditional like studying course. So it's a mix of everything.
And regarding coding, it's going to be like you will learn it from scratch, but you will have people who know a bit already before. So try to get into study groups with them. It really helps. And in WiSo, it's the German bachelors, you don't have coding mandatory. Like it's there if you want to pick the data science path, but you don't have to pick it. So unless you pick it, you don't have to do coding at all. So yeah. Okay, perfect.
So it brings us to the section of the video where I'm the interviewer and I ask Maria some questions. But the first question I wanted to ask was, it's going to help me a lot as well, and probably the people watching in a couple of years, but it's about the thesis. Yeah. So how did you prepare for the thesis, and how different is the thesis procedure for bachelor's and also master's? Because I think you're writing your master's thesis as well.
You think?
I think.
You think you're I'm not. Just kidding. Bold assumption of you to assume writing my thesis. Okay, so for the bachelor's thesis, it's much easier compared to a master's. So it weighs like 2 times less. So it's like around 10 SATs that you get. Please check the degree program structure, but it's like around 10 SATs that you get for the bachelor's thesis. And for master's, you get 20 SATs. For reference, ECTs are like academic hours you're supposed to put into the thesis. So for master's, it's double the work. But for bachelor's, you're not expected to do a great research breakthrough, right? You're a bachelor student. You don't have to defend it in front of like a professor's committee. You just submit it on Learn and you wait for your grade. Can be a few days, can be a few weeks. And with the thesis, what's great is that you can pick any topic. You don't have to stick to your specializations. You don't have to stick to your core subjects, and you don't have to stick to your professors. Of course, you can write about biology if you're a business student, but you can pick any professor from any institute that you're kind of interested in writing. And a great life hack here is look at the publications of the professor you're picking, because what happened is when I was researching the thesis supervisor, I looked at the literature, but the professor has posted articles, books, and it matched so perfectly with my thesis topic. And I was writing about automation and how to kind of include it in the Cobb-Douglas production function. It's a lot of mathematics as well. And he had a book about automation and the production function. I was like, perfect, I'm going to read that book. And I reached out to him, and it worked out perfectly. But that professor, I never had classes with him during my studies. Of course, maybe different professors have different requirements. Maybe some prefer that you took the specialization, but just reach out, ask them if they could supervise something similar. Maybe they will guide you to a different professor, or maybe they will guide you to change the topic slightly so that they are okay with supervising it. And honestly, thesis, you can do it in 2 months if you really want to. But I would say those 2 months are just like intense writing sessions. Like the 2 months of writing would happen because you did maybe like 2 months or so of research before those 2 months of writing. Let's say you can reach out to professors because they take also some time to respond. You can ask them for maybe in your literature recommendations. You also have to sign a thesis agreement with the professor and upload it to Learn. And it takes time, not that much time, but still. And then you have to read a bunch of literature and summarize it. And if you're doing a literature review, that's what you're going to be doing in your thesis, like analyzing the papers and finding maybe research gaps, proposing what could be done, depending on what the topic is. You can also do your own research in marketing, people's behavior, whatever you prefer. And then once you interact with the supervisor, he or she is also going to be the one grading the thesis. So if you follow his instructions or her instructions and their edits, and sometimes you send the first draft and there's like a bunch of changes that you have to make. If you do that, you're very likely to get a good grade, like a 1 or a 2, because if they're a supervisor and then they're one grading the thesis, if you get a bad grade, it's because it's either you did very poorly or maybe there was not enough communication between you two. So in case you do like a nice job, 1 or 2 is pretty much guaranteed. And then a master's thesis is different. So there you have to do some research. It's very rarely allowed to do a literature review. You can do maybe like 1 or 2 topics that are allowed like that, but most of the topics would you be reaching out to companies, a case study, marketing research, thesis, anything like that. So, but like my friend, she's from Mexico and she did a thesis about businesses in Mexico, like family business in Mexico, and like something about digitalizing them. Worked out. So you can pick a creative topic, just it has to be something that's new because it's a bit stricter compared to a bachelor's one. So please do not write your master's thesis like last minute. But for bachelor's thesis, I think it can work out with 2 months of intense work. And also the supervisors are usually fine with moving a bit the date of the deadline. Let's say I was planning to submit it in August. I took 1 extra month and I submitted it on the 1st of September. So, and you can submit it whenever you want, like unless it overlaps with your master's beginning, or like unless it overlaps with your, like any other formal deadline that you have to meet, you can submit it anywhere. You can also do it in October and November. It's very relaxed, so to say. If you want to go to graduation and you want to participate in the ceremony with the diploma and everything, there are some deadlines to that. But if you're fine with participating in the next graduation or not going there at all, because it's not mandatory to go, you can just submit it whenever you want. So you're welcome for the tips because I think you'll be using them in the next semester. Yeah. Because now you have to finish it in the next semester.
I am looking forward to it. Not really.
Yeah. Exciting.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to ask you was how interesting I found it that when I started BBE, you just graduated BBE.
Yeah.
And fast forward 3 years, I'm going to be starting master's very soon, and you're going to be graduating from master's. So, in a way, it feels like you've kind of lived the life stage that I've lived. So, I don't know, what final words or advice do you have for people in general?
Wise words from Maria.
Wise words from Maria, teacher.
I would say, so first advice, going into the new year, that's going to be pretty stressful for a lot of you. Let's say if you're especially if you're in the 3rd semester, because 3rd semester is just like, if you want to go on exchange and you want to finish in 3 years, that's another story. If you're also working part-time, another story. But be a bit more, not so judgmental of yourself, because let's say if you're stressing, your stress doesn't help you be productive, right? Like, you will still get the thing done, you will still write the CV, you will still do the exam, you will still pass this course, but stressing about it, like for weeks before it happens, does nothing. It just burns your nerve cells, and it makes you less productive in the days that you're supposed to be doing something. So maybe try to focus more on doing and stressing, because yes, it's still gonna get done, it's still gonna be fine, most likely if you put in the work. So that would be one of my main advice, that also kind of a self-reflection in the moment before the New Year's. And also, yeah, it's a long way, and all the stages have something good to them. Let's say in my master's, we had subjects that were a mixture of what I really enjoyed and what I didn't enjoy as much, because it was either very difficult or maybe it was a bit, yeah, for me it wasn't the course that, okay, I was, okay, this I'm gonna learn a lot here. It was like more of a chill, so to say, relaxed course. But the people that I met there are amazing. Like, I have such an amazing friend group. We call it the UN, because we have like one person from each country. Like one person from Germany, Spain, then we have from Costa Rica, from Canada, from Mexico. It's like such a diverse group of people, and I really enjoy spending time with them. So even past the knowledge, I really appreciate like the community that it brought together. And yeah, this is a very nice question, actually. Yeah. And yeah, great things are ahead, so to say. You never know, like when you're like, when I was applying to masters, I didn't know when I'm gonna get an answer, right? I was stressing. I was like, okay, if you apply in the first deadline in October, you're gonna get the answers by December, around the middle. And I got the answer randomly in the subway station. I was in the metro. Yeah, I have the pictures from there. So it can all change in one day. Let's say if you're stressing about something, that stress can go away like in seconds on a random Wednesday afternoon, so to say. And yeah, and also it's fine to prioritize what's important for you. Let's say if you're working alongside studies, if you have to prioritize work at some point, do it. Like it's fine. Like it's not gonna like depends on what your goals are, like regarding GPA and which stage of the studies you are. Yep. But once you secure the specializations, or once you secure the exchange semester, the grades are not as important during the bachelor's. Of course, for masters they might be, but again, if your grades are not the best, you can take a GMAT or a GRE to compensate. It's allowed. It's not mandatory for BBE or WU students in general, if you're going from WU to WU, but you could compensate your academic performance. And that's because that's what I did. You know, I'm just like self-excuses, right? Because starting from the second semester, I was prioritizing work, but I still finished the bachelor with like a 1.8 GPA, so it still worked out fine. You can get your grades up in the specializations later on, and you can also get your grade up with the free electives or the thesis, which are relatively easier to get better grades because you're choosing them, right? Because the core subjects are there. If you don't like law, you have to deal with it. Yeah. If you get a worse grade, that's fine. But with specializations, what you choose, like if you enjoy marketing, you're also very likely to get better grades there compared to like a law course if you don't, if you're not a fan of it. So I would say, yeah, just if you know your priorities and your goals, like long-term ones, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where do you see yourself in 5 years question? Then it's also okay. it's also okay to do that. So yeah, life has a wonderful thing of working out when you know exactly what you want. And so if a door slams in your face, let's say it
open it. If a door slams in your face, open it.
No, it's maybe because it was the wrong door.
Yeah.
Sometimes like it happened to me in more personal aspects of life. Let's say if a door was like, it looked like the right door, but it was a completely wrong door and it slammed. And maybe hurt my pinky a bit when slamming. It just, with time you see why it didn't work out, like why it was not meant to be, and why it's like actually a very good thing that it closed, I would say. Yeah. The more you live, the more you learn. I feel so old right now, but I'm not that old. I'm like a grandma.
No, I think that was very impressive, right? Because you started BBE when you were 16?
Yeah, I started, the first lecture was at 17 because I have a birthday in October, and study started in October, so I was turning 17 in the first lectures. So yeah, and I'm 23. Yeah. A long life.
Well, I'll be 23 as well when I get my master's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
it evens out as well.
Yeah. And then I can tell you more things about what awaits you after the master's. PhD application coming soon.
Oh no.
Academia.
No.
And Smith, now back to you. What would be something that you would like to say to your younger self, starting BBE, or any advice you would like to give to people applying or graduating or in the middle of their studies? Good question, right?
Yeah. I think I know. I think to my younger self, you're probably referring to like the version of myself in high school. So I would say this is probably more specific to myself, but
Yeah, of course.
I definitely would say like what we were talking about earlier, to actually know exactly what you want, because that way you can actually like not get distracted by the things that are not as important as you think it is. Because I would say personally from experience, BBE has been like very, very rough up and downs for me, and there were times when I was like, it was really bad for me, right? But you know, overall, like it was fine. Like I got my master's spot. You know, my grades are. It's not the best, okay, compared to the people that are like the top 5%, but it's fine. Like it's.
You're still going to your master's of your first choice, so
yeah, definitely.
Can't complain.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. I think the younger version of me was very like naive in a way where like I was comparing myself to people who are more. I wouldn't say more capable, but they knew what they wanted. They knew exactly what they wanted, and they're working towards it. And I'm here like just trying to experiment things. And when I didn't get the results that that they were getting, and then I was like, what am I doing wrong, right? Because when I first got here, I didn't know how to study at all. I still don't actually, even though I'm like 2.5 years in. I don't know what the correct way to study, like, you know, efficiently and stuff, you know. I have friends of mine who are studying one night before the exam, and they get the same grade as me when I spent like the past, I don't know, 3 weeks preparing for this one single exam. So when you see stuff like that, it is a bit demotivating, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It genuinely doesn't matter.
And also I'm not on studying like how to study best, because I also don't use any study strategies. I just lock myself under. So what we also like talked about before is that doing the thing is much more productive than talking about or planning to do the thing. So let's say if you have a study technique that works for you, that's great. But if you're more thinking about, okay, what are the study intervals that you have to take? Like if you're so focused on the process rather than actually doing things, it can also kind of shift the illusion of progress. So let's say what worked best for me is lock myself in the study room, 3, 5, 4 hours, don't eat, just have a bottle of water, and the assignment get done magically because I actually focus without any distractions. Like I don't use any Pomodoro techniques. They can be helpful, not to overstress, but if something needs to get done, the best way to just to focus on it purely without overthinking, okay, what's the best strategy here? Really learn what you need to learn, write out what you don't understand, make sure if it's a coding exercise, because I did so much coding in my master's, really make sure you understand line by line. Like those little details that you miss out early on will catch up with you on your final exam. So yeah, so studying is more about studying than planning to study, I would say. Personally, for me, that's how it works the best. Maybe I just don't know the study strategies.
I think me too, actually.
But that's what worked out for me great overall. In high school, bachelors and masters. So that could be useful advice also to you. And yeah, you can also continue with your wise words from Smith.
I think that's about it.
And yeah, I think we discussed everything that people usually ask about the difficulty of the program. So I think there hasn't been a day where it's like, okay, that's impossible to manage it. I don't think there was any time in BBE where I was like, okay, I will not manage this for sure. There was.
For me, there were multiple instances,
But did you manage?
Yeah.
Personal experiences, but I think you can still like pull through a lot of things. Like even if it's like the difficulty of the assignments and the exams are like more or less okay-ish. It's nothing that impossible, from what I remember.
Now that you bring that up, like something I wanted to add was that the fact that we mentioned that BBE was so flexible. But I feel like that is also a double-edged sword because it's flexible, but the bad thing about that is it's flexible to you, not to the professor. So the professor doesn't know what other exams you have, what other schedules you have. So there will be weeks where you have like a ton of assignments. That's not in the schedule, right? Like the schedule is only about the lectures and stuff and the exams. But there will be overlaps, and sometimes there are sacrifices that we kind of have to do. Like, but BBE is, I would say BBE is kind of strict based on attendance because we have to be there for 80% of the time.
So
for most lectures, you're allowed to skip 2. So
Yeah, we have.
I think it's because I've gotten to like the later part of my studies that I'm actually using these two like skips. Like, you know, normally I would leave it in case I'm sick or whatever, but I actually do use them now. So like if I do have an overlap or something, or if I have an assignment that I deem like more important for that week, I would use up my skips. It's just about like time planning and stuff, which I think is normal for university in general.
I think BBE, it's kind of, yes, it's a gift and not a gift at the same time.
It's a blessing and
a curse at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I think it's medium flexibility, because you still have like some core lectures that you cannot really not take. Maybe take them later, but still you have to take them. So sometimes you can pick one of 5 professors. Let's say for macroeconomics, you have 5 profs. You can pick the one that suits you best. Let's say if it's a more calm pace or if it's a more energetic pace, it's up to you. We also have like LV planner and prof check tools to help you avoid the overlaps or to minimize them, and also to look at professors and like how they usually teach, just to see what fits best. And also sometimes you have like different time slots, right, for KM1. The practical, like you have the how do you say it, the session, the lecture from like 8 until 10, 8 a.m. I think like early morning.
It varies from which year.
Yeah. But it's an early morning lecture that you can choose not to go to, but there is a practical session that you have to be there. And there's like 5 different time slots. Let's say one at 11, one at 12, 1 p.m., 2 p.m, and it goes until the evening. And it's also, if you're working, it's very helpful in case you want to go to the evening session and then have the day free for your work. Yeah. So yeah, but still, there will be some mandatory lectures that you have to attend, and you cannot really skip them. In most cases, of course, you have the 2 skips, but you cannot, you know. Yeah. So with BBE slowly coming to an end for you, and this interview slowly coming to an end, pun intended. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your experience with all the applicants or people in their first semester to see how it goes. And wish you to everyone applying or to everyone studying or choosing masters or whatever stage you're in, we wish you best of luck. And see you in the next videos. Hope you like this, and bye-bye.
Why didn't you self-promote at the end? Where's the call to action? Subscribe, follow
okay.
AG.
Should I also plug in your AG?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. Oh,
I need more followers.
So thank you so much for enjoying this video.
It isn't funny when you're the one messing it up, huh? Wait, you want me to do the outro?
For watching?
You want me to do the outro?
Okay, you can do it together.
Alright.
So thank you so much,
George. I'm gonna take over and do the outro. And if you enjoy this video, if you think that the things that we discussed are informative and interesting to you, you can follow maria.teachy on Instagram, where she posts anything and everything BBE related and all the latest information. If you like me as a person, feel free to follow me on Instagram at smithhpklife, and I post student life videos and everything. And
you post a lot of episodes and sagas. So stay tuned for new episodes from Smith Life. And thank you for watching, and see you in the next videos. Bye bye.